enforcers of law who are tasked with maintaining public order, protecting individuals and property, and preventing and investigating crimes. That is what being a police officer means, or at least that's what they are trying to do. Instances have aroused where police officers have misused their authority, employed excessive force, and violated people's rights, particularly those from marginalized communities, leading to distrust and fear of law enforcement. Are they subjected to such power? What are the legal repercussions for them, however? And most of all, would they be treated differently when compared to the masses? Join us as we take a closer look at two of the most uncanny cases that could make question the judicial system as a whole. Our first case kicks off with the case of Harold Hill, which is just a perfect example of how our justice system can go wrong. This case definitely checks all the boxes, including a horrific rape and murder, as well as a mishandled conviction, you name it. So then what went about? Let's start with the so-called beacons of justice, Kenneth Bordeaux and John Halloran, the detectives who were assigned to the case and the beacons of law. They were the ones who managed to extract a confession from Peter Williams, who was later discovered to have been in custody when the crime was committed. How did they even produce a fabricated confession from someone who wasn't even present? Hill claims he was physically and mentally tortured until he confessed to crimes he didn't commit. Is this the kind of conduct we anticipate from our law enforcement personnel? The trial itself was held when Hill was 31 years old, despite the fact that he was only 16 at the time of the crime and was therefore tried as an adult. At this point, it's just not fair, and it's incomprehensible what Hill is going through. Given that neither of the defendants had a criminal history prior to the incident, this is an intriguing move by the prosecution. Hill and Young were given a life without parole sentence after the jury found them guilty of the murder. However, 13 long years later, DNA tests showed that neither of the defendants' cellular components found under Kathy Morgan's fingernails, nor the hair found at the crime scene matched either of them. Imagine the sheer suffering Hill endured for something he didn't do. It continues to amaze me how Hill managed to hang on to his life. The prosecutors disputed the findings despite this evidence, claiming that the hairs had nothing to do with the crime and that the cellular material might have come from sweat or drool that the recovery teams had left behind. Even in the face of such overwhelming evidence, it's shocking that the prosecutors were so resistant. Young was killed in a hit-and-run incident shortly after Harold and Young were finally let out of jail. This almost leads us to believe that this is almost a plot to clip both of them. Hill, on the other hand, accused the city of Chicago, the police, and the two detectives involved in the case of coercing a confession and violating his civil rights in a complaint he filed against them. The case was resolved for $1.25 million, of which Hill received $500,000 and the remainder was paid to the lawyers. It's surprising that the detectives were only asked to make a pitiful $7,500 payment for their roles in this whole fiasco. You think that's all? Wait until you hear this. It should be noted that Hill is currently serving a 27-year sentence after being found guilty once more of an unrelated charge of armed robbery. In spite of this, it is obvious that Harold Hill was let down by the legal system in the past. This case emphasizes the need for justice system reform to prevent erroneous convictions and make sure that those who abuse their power are held accountable. Starting with the investigation and continuing through the trial and conviction, the Harold Hill case is a tragedy of errors. Hill was wrongfully detained for 13 years, and because the system made him a criminal, he was never given the opportunity to adapt to life outside of prison. He was completely screwed over by the system, and the police only received $7,500 each. When police officers commit acts like the ones they did, they should be imprisoned for a minimum of the same amount of time as the victims they imprisoned. Up next, we have an oddball in the form of Sergeant Mario Cardona versus Daniel Garza. After being thrown and pinned to the ground, Daniel Garza was rendered helpless. Officer Mario Cardona, a longtime friend of Garza's, was on the verge of breaking his wrist. Confronting a criminal and keeping him confined is one thing, but putting a civilian without a reason is shocking. Garza recalled, I was trying to be a man and trying to hold in the pain, but man, that wrist lock hurts. He's just bending it and bending it. But why did Cardona go so far as to nearly break his wrist? His actions were apparently driven by rage toward Garza, whom he accuses of attempting to kidnap his stepdaughter. But are cops subjected to such an authority in the first place? It appears that the two men had a long history together because Garza had once dated Naomi Villanueva, the stepdaughter of Cardona. Villanueva left her parents' home to live with a friend because the relationship had reached its breaking point. However, Villanueva was allegedly taken from her friend's home in May 2015 by Garza without her consent and brought to her parents' residence in Whittier, where Cardona lived across the street. Garza was performing pilates in his garden when Cardona saw him and told him to go to the street. Cardona started his assault as soon as Garza sat down. Garza claimed that he was not the aggressor, and a neighbor who saw the incident attested to Garza's innocence. As soon as they arrived on the scene, the sheriff's deputies saw redness on Garza's face, bruises and abrasions on his knees, and redness on his wrist. After Garza complained about Cardona, the city of Los Angeles, Chief Beck, and Cardona were named as defendants in a federal lawsuit. Garza claimed that he had been the victim of a false arrest, an arbitrary search and seizure, overuse of force, an assault and battery, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The trial also featured a video of the incident captured by one of Garza's neighbors. They had made up a story of what had happened to make him look like a hero, and me look like a criminal, Daniel Garza. The hearing was presided over by U.S. District Judge Stephen V. Wilson, who heard former Deputy City Attorney Michael Amarian speak in defense of the city. Cardona was found to have acted maliciously as an off-duty officer by the jury, and on June 26, 2017, he was ordered to pay Garza $210,000 in damages. In addition, the court added $664,000 in attorney's fees and $26,000 in post-trial costs. The city of L.A. refused to take responsibility for Cardona's actions and even refused to indemnify the officer, forcing him to pay for the charges out of his pocket. Jim DeSimone, Garza's attorney, claims, "This is the problem with the LAPD. This is why people are out on the street." The incident serves as an example of how police can abuse people and get away with it. In this instance, however, Garza was able to confront the authorities who had infringed upon his rights and prevail in his lawsuit against Cardona. It is clear that police officers cannot get away with using excessive force against citizens after the jury found Cardona guilty of malice. It is important to note that this case also emphasizes how crucial it is for citizens to be aware of their rights and to speak out against law enforcement when they believe those rights have been violated. Garza's decision to accuse Cardona of using excessive force and file a complaint against him demonstrates that people can take legal action to stop police brutality. What do you think of these cases? Which do you think is most unfair? Sound off in the comments below and make sure to let us know if we missed out on anything. While you are at it, make sure to hit that subscribe and leave a like to never miss an update from us. Thanks for watching.
In April 2023, Officer Scott Harrell, a 4-year veteran of the Texas City Police Department, allegedly initiated a traffic stop after observing a vehicle speeding and cutting through parking spaces at a gas station. Officer Harrell approached Christopher Scholl, the driver, and informed him about the alleged violations. Scholl denied any wrongdoing, stating that he was not speeding, that he regularly took the direct path through the parking lot to the gas pumps. Despite Scholl's compliance and explanation, Officer Harrell accused him of disregarding traffic control devices and threatened to issue a citation.
Before I'm stepping out of traffic, if I can. Don't walk up to my car, please. What? Don't walk up to my car, please. Hey, man, you can't drive through a parking lot like that. You got your driver's license insurance? Any weapons in the car I need to worry about? Oh, man. Ford, did you catch my trap?
Yes, sir. Have you on traffic here, but
Robert John Lincoln, 4732. Robert John Lincoln, 4732. Copy 27.
thanks.
1441 6588 1441 6588. Is there any particular reason why you felt you needed to come through the parking lot like that?
I didn't think I did anything wrong. I just came over to get gas.
You were speeding and you cut through parking spaces. No, you can't do that.
It's just gonna be confirmed on Robert.
I didn't think I was doing anything, man.
I mean, you
all
walked
I
around.
was coming to get gas.
Yeah. Oh, are we gonna go back and forth, or are you just gonna?
You asked me a question. You want me to answer it or not? I'm not.
Okay.
If anything, I thought I was going even slower than normal.
No, sir.
Because
You
normally people don't even park where you park, and that's the direct path to the gas pumps.
through the parking spaces. This is the direct.
I do realize that. I know that there's parking spaces there.
And you almost hit that car that was turning right there. I was watching, man.
The traffic stop was initiated on private property, and Texas law generally does not enforce traffic laws in parking lots, driveways, or alleys. Therefore, it can be argued that Mr. Scholl was unlawfully detained by Officer Harrell.
I just want
Go ahead.
I'll take control.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, the officer asked the man to show his license and checked it within his system if there was anything suspicious, but everything was clean.
So,
I'm not kidding you either, man. I come here every day, dude.
look, I'm not.
I send pictures of my wife the price of the gas here every
Right.
day when I come through.
Okay, look.
So anyway,
Here's the deal, man. Okay, I'm not gonna go back and forth and all that. I'm not gonna write you tickets, but the only reason I'm not writing you tickets is because I'm out of tickets right now. Okay, otherwise you would be receiving a citation.
for what would be the citation? I'm just curious.
Disregarding traffic control device.
On private property?
Yes.
Okay.
You still can't do that. It's still illegal.
Okay.
During the interaction, Officer Harrell demonstrated a power trip, unlawfully detaining Mr. Scholl and making false accusations against him. Despite Mr. Scholl's attempts to de-escalate the situation, Officer Harrell persisted in his aggressive behavior. Nevertheless, Officer Harrell continued to escalate the situation by accusing Scholl of reckless driving and threatening to arrest him. Eventually, Officer Harrell arrested Mr. Scholl, claiming he believed Scholl would continue to engage in unsafe behavior in the future.
I was sitting right there, and he came through the parking lot and cut through all the spaces. He came through so fast and whooped into here, and there was a white truck. The white truck had to slam on its brakes. So I come over here. I was just going to be like, hey, man, chill out. Like, chill out. Don't be like that. But he wanted to go back and forth and argue with me and give me all kinds of stuff. And, like, I didn't have any tickets, and I didn't grab a rider this morning. So I was like, man, look, it doesn't have to go this way. He kept going back and forth, so I was like, all right, let's go.
Another officer arrived at the scene, and Officer Harrell recounted the situation, portraying himself as the victim and Mr. Scholl as the aggressor. However, Officer Harrell realized his misconduct and decided to handle the situation differently. He cited Mr. Scholl for disregarding traffic control devices and allowed him to leave.
What motorcycle did you please?
Anything? Boy, Scholl's no longer in custody. Okay, I see you sign right here. It's not a admission of guilt.
Repeat your last?
Mr. Scholl is no longer in custody. It's not an admission of guilt. It's just a promise to contact the court on or before the date time that's written on here. You can contact the court at the bottom here. The information's there and also up there. Free to go, sir.
Following the incident, Officer Harrell was placed on administrative duty and is under investigation by the Internal Affairs Department. The Texas City Police Department has strict policies against violating individuals' rights during encounters. Chief Joe Stanton announced that the results of the investigation will be made public once a final disposition is reached. Mr. Scholl, who considers himself pro-police, viewed the traffic stop as unjustified and a violation of his rights. He plans to take the case to trial and is considering civil action against the department. He has set up a GoFundMe campaign to cover legal fees for the potential lawsuit. And now let's move to another video. In a recent encounter involving the Cleveland Heights Police Department, a female officer was observed recklessly pulling in front of another vehicle while conducting a traffic stop. The driver of the other vehicle, who narrowly avoided an accident, began recording the incident on his mobile phone.
1 second. A1 Rio, stand by. It's going to be on Mayfield across from the first access road. Send me another unit because another party does not know how to yield to lights and sirens, and he's sitting here recording me. Say that I'm looking at him off the road. You okay?
Yeah, I'm
Okay. I'm Officer Lewis with Cleveland Heights. The reason I'm for the traffic stop is the plates on the vehicle are expired.
Yeah,
Not even a big deal. Do you know that guy behind me in the Porsche?
I was trying to hurry up and move
You're
over.
good. No, you're good. You did the right thing. I'm put my lights out and sirens. He did not move over.
As the officer stepped out of her patrol vehicle, the officer expressed his concern over the near collision. The officer instructed the driver to wait while she proceeded with the traffic stop. However, the driver patiently parked behind the patrol vehicle and continued recording. The officer initially admitted her mistake and apologized to the driver, but during their conversation, she suddenly changed her stance, blaming the driver for her own errors.
Apologize.
You almost ran me off the road.
I initiated my lights and
I didn't hear
sirens.
anything.
What, was your music on? Because I had the lights and sirens
man.
on, sir.
You apologize.
I apologize.
You're wrong.
He stopped
I'ma let it
abruptly.
go.
Okay, I'm not wrong. The lights and sirens were activated.
You ran me off
Okay,
the road.
I did not
almost.
do that, sir. The lights and sirens
So
on
what
my
do you apologize
marked
for?
patrol because he stopped abruptly, causing me to stop
And I almost
abruptly,
caused an
causing
accident.
you to stop abruptly.
Right.
And I apologize for that. However, the lights and sirens were on. Okay, the police vehicle is marked. You can clearly see it's a marked
You're next to
patrol
the man.
vehicle. I initiated lights and sirens. I'm not going to argue, and I'm telling you I do. I'm going to tell you I do apologize that he did stop
But I'm
abruptly.
going to tell you the disconnect.
Nobody was
I'm
wrong.
going to tell you the disconnect, right? So between the public and you as a public
You want
servant,
me to just that driver check, okay?
if it's something wrong and you actually
Yeah.
did it, all you say, my bad, I'm
And
sorry,
I did. I just
and
said,
keep going.
I
Instead
said
of
my
saying-
bad. I said, I activated I initiated a traffic stop in a marked vehicle with lights and sirens.
Right.
If you didn't hear the sirens or see the lights,
I mean, you called back up to your place.
well, I called back up because somebody was getting out of a cop car.
The situation escalated when the officer called for backup and her supervisor, a sergeant, arrived at the scene. The sergeant immediately confronted the driver, accusing him of obstructing and interfering with the traffic stop despite not being present during the initial interaction. The sergeant failed to articulate if the driver was being detained or not, but he continued to escalate the situation.
You called back up for your safety, but
Well, you don't pull up behind an officer on a traffic stop.
you don't even know what.
You're right, I don't.
So why are you saying it?
Because I'm here and what you're doing right now is against the
You almost
law.
ran me off the road.
Okay, well then you should have pulled over for lights and sirens. She said it on the radio that you didn't yield. And it's on dash cam, I'm assuming.
Just a disconnect, man.
Sir,
I'll tell you what, let her finish her business and then we can sit down and talk like
we're
adults.
good. I'm going to let him go. We're good. I'm going to let him go.
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry. What was your last name?
My last name?
Yeah.
Why you need my last name?
Because I'm asking who I'm talking to. You asked me who you were talking to.
You're not, well, not now you're going to be under arrest because what you're doing is illegal.
Listen.
What you're doing is illegal. I can charge you for interfering with
What? Just give me your last name.
Why?
Because I'm conducting business with you right
I'm
now.
not being detained. Or am I pretty
If you
good?
want to be.
10-4. That's not going
how
to
it
be the
works.
driver.
What's your RS?
Stand by.
What's your reasonable articulate
Okay.
suspicion of my crime?
I'm going to get rid of him.
Hold on, I'll explain it to you, okay?
Am I being detained?
Right now.
Am I being detained?
If you want to be.
10-4. That's
No,
not
that's not how it
going to be the
works.
driver.
What's your RS?
Stand by.
My RS?
Reasonable articulate
Okay.
suspicion of my
Okay,
crime.
here,
gonna get
first,
rid of
okay, hold on. I'll explain it to you, okay? Doing what you're doing right now.
No, sir, she almost ran me off the road.
Okay. Again, you didn't yield to lights and siren. You came out.
She was next to me and stopped and almost ran me off the road.
Okay.
What are you talking
Okay,
about?
listen to me. You asked my reasonable articulable suspicion. It's not a
I'm not
probable
under
cause.
arrest. If you arrest me, you violate my rights.
I don't want to arrest you. We have to
You're
ID
going to
you.
violate my rights. That's what you're going to
Okay,
do?
we have to ID you. You
No,
understand
you
that? Yes, we do.
All right, I'm going to videotape it.
Okay, we got you on camera
I'm
too.
going to call, then come get the car. You're violating my rights.
Come getting, who's getting what car?
They can come, you're going to arrest
Radio,
me,
another
right?
car here. I got a male who's obstructing.
No, I'm not.
And, he's
She
refusing to
almost
identify
ran me off
himself.
the road.
So I'll take a report on it, but I need your ID.
No.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with her.
The driver explained what had transpired to the sergeant, but both officers insisted on obtaining his identification, even though no crime had been committed. The sergeant eventually handcuffed the driver, alleging obstruction and interference.
Listen,
Right.
I'm asking you to identify yourself so I can let my dispatcher know who I'm out with. If you don't identify yourself, that is obstruction. You are the one that came
Obstruction
out.
is a secondary crime.
It's
What crime did I commit?
There's no crime, but I'm
So if there's no crime, I
I'm
don't need to
identifying
identify.
you. Okay.
Thanks.
I need your driver license.
Look, man, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to arrest you if you don't identify yourself.
She just said it was no crime.
It is
Listen.
a crime. Obstructing is a
What
crime.
crime?
Obstructing
You have to
is a
legally
crime.
Identify yourself to us.
She almost ran me off the road.
And then I still have to identify you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I'm going to call them to the car. You can arrest me.
Okay, turn around, put that gun back.
Because I didn't do anything.
Okay, turn around, turn around.
I didn't do anything.
Listen, just all you have to do
I don't have my ID with me.
Okay, what's your
Your
social?
date of birth, that's not what we asked for.
For what?
Because I need to let my dispatcher know. It's not a big deal. Last name, sir.
Kern, man.
Kern.
You know what happened. Why are you letting him
Listen,
do this?
he's the sergeant.
He's violating my rights.
He is not. He
Come here, have a
didn't
seat. We're gonna give you a
identify
ticket when we
yourself.
send you on your way. You have valid driver's license?
Yeah, I do. You violate my rights, man.
Yeah, well, you're getting a ticket for interfering with the fast.
How did I interfere? She almost ran me off the road.
And you could have pulled off and waited and called.
I did wait when she said wait.
You were out here talking to her. Have a seat.
Mr. Kern, just
Don't push me, man.
Have a seat.
Why are you so full of machismo, man?
Dude, have a seat. I'm not putting up with your okay? Have a seat.
What's wrong with you, man?
Have a seat.
Sitting down.
All the way in.
if he
He's going
checks,
for obstructing. Or he's getting a
you're
ticket
gonna.
for
I
obstructing.
don't.
Is he valid?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the radio to say. What? So this is what happened.
Uh-huh.
That vehicle matched the description of the vehicle from Weird yesterday.
Okay.
I saw it. I initiated a traffic stop.
Okay.
That person, instead of like pulling over, he stopped abruptly.
Okay.
And I'm getting behind him, but he stopped abruptly.
Okay.
This guy was very close to him.
Okay.
And we almost did get into an accident.
Okay.
Because that driver stopped
Did you
so
have your license
abruptly.
siren on?
I did. Yes.
Get your ticket for
He,
there's always sounds about this.
okay.
He's getting a ticket for
Radio, you want to change
for failing to yield to an emergency vehicle?
Yes, radio, I do. That's why I provided it.
was to a Demetrius Raphael Kern, a 37-year-old male. He's valid. That's one.
So you get the ticket and then you can come.
Listen, I don't feel like I need to give him a ticket for that.
Sure.
I'm
Well, then he
cool
got
with
the
just,
for obstructing.
okay. I mean, I'm cool with letting him go.
Like,
He just didn't understand.
He's in handcuffs.
And he's being a jerk.
He obstructed. He refused.
This was a baseless assumption, as the driver had simply waited on the side of the road until the officer finished her traffic stop. The driver provided his information to the officers, although he was not legally required to do so. The sergeant's behavior demonstrated an unjustified power trip, while the first officer seemed to acknowledge her mistake and attempted to rectify it.
You guys got a lawsuit
Mr. Kern,
coming.
just hang on. Just
You got a lawsuit coming.
Listen, let me explain to you. You don't get out of the car yet. The sergeant wants me to give you a ticket for obstruction, okay? I'm not going to do anything else.
I didn't.
Listen, he's the boss. He is the boss.
I don't have to refuse if I didn't commit a crime. This isn't a stop and ID state.
At this point, it is a traffic stop because you're
You
out on a
almost ran me
traffic
off
stop.
the road.
Mr.
You
Kern,
know
we
it.
just had that conversation. I did not almost run you off the road.
That Tesla has cameras in it. So
Okay.
you guys are going to pay for this.
Okay, that's fine. Come to court.
Mr. Kern, I apologize. I really do. And this is on body cam, alright? This is, the sergeant's telling me to do this, so listen, I'm just doing what I'm told to do, alright?
Afterwards, the driver was released from handcuffs, but the sergeant insisted on pursuing charges. The first officer apologized to the driver, stating she was just following orders. The driver expressed his intention to take legal action against both officers and the police department, citing violation of his rights.
Here's your property.
Hold on, let me get this in.
Sure.
Hey, just push one.
Some janky rusty ass stuff.
Right.
You want to sign or are you going to refuse? Alright, I'm going to give you a copy of it.
You guys violated my rights. You know.
Well, we'll all be in court.
Ultimately, the driver received a citation and a court date for obstruction. However, just 11 days later, the prosecutor filed a motion to dismiss the case due to a lack of evidence. The driver plans to proceed with a civil lawsuit against the officers and the department.